Welcome to the Warriors Podcast, a revelatory journey into the unseen battle of the soul. Here we engage in uncompromising truth and seek empowering wisdom to stand firm in the face of spiritual warfare. Tuning in allows you to awaken, armor up, and walk in victory. Wake up, wake up, wake up, warriors. Wake up, wake up, wake up, warriors. Welcome back to another podcast episode of the Warrior Podcast with your host, Takoa. This episode is called Know Thyself, Know Thy Enemy. So I was like, what would a warrior be without knowing exactly who their enemy was? So today we are going to focus on who is the enemy. And also, I think an important part to highlight is knowing yourself. So that's why the title of the podcast is Know Thyself, Know Thy Enemy. So sometimes your enemy can only use what they can find as your weakness. So that's why it's so important to know yourself, because if you know your weaknesses, you're two steps ahead of the enemy and you can knock off any of the, attacks that they try to throw your way by being wise, by being, by understanding and I guess inceptive of, exactly what you got going on. You know what I'm saying? So there's no like surprise attacks or anything like that. Um, I'll say this too. When it comes to knowing yourself, it's like genetics are so important, down to like habits are passed down sometimes from parent to child. Mindsets are passed down. You ever heard of generational curses? We talked about that. Generational curses are passed down through genetics. So it's important to know, like, sometimes the battle begins before you even reach earth, before you even touch ground, before you even open your eyes. Unfortunately, the battle is already laid out in front of you. And so it's important to know yourself, and a lot of times you get to know yourself best by looking into others and those around you. Like, what is going on with your tribe? What is your tribe doing? And is that that will give some implication into some of the things that you're dealing with, some of the things that you battle with on a day-to-day basis. So knowing thyself, like, is so important. So we talked about sin, like, I'll read John 3:8. The one who does what is sinful is of the devil. So our enemy is the devil, but it is also us in the day to day with our free will and utilizing it to not please God or do what we're supposed to do for God. That is of the devil. Before we talk about works of the flesh that are plainly seen, sexual immorality, uncleanness, brazen conduct, idolatry, spiritism, hostility, strife, jealousy, fits of anger, dissensions, divisions, sex, envy, drunkenness, wild parties, and things like that. Yeah, because, and I'll be coming back to those things a lot throughout the whole podcast, because it's good to know, like, where is it that we're falling short, and those things, they are said seen, plainly seen. So that's definitely something that you want to remember. Yeah, it says the one who does what is sinful is of the devil. If you don't want to be of the devil, if you don't want to be the devil, you don't want the devil referred to as your father, that it is wise to not do the things that are sinful. Sin separates us from God. Everybody's like, all have sinned and fell short of the glory of God. What's the big deal about sin? Jesus came and wiped it all away. So what? But sin separates you from your relationship with God. And if you are at war, one of my favorite Bible chapters or Bible books is Exodus, when they are making their way out of the wilderness. They're trying to find their homeland, and God is fighting the battles with them. And when they don't do God's will, God separates himself from them, and they aren't successful. So it's so important to have God on your team at all times. And when you sin, it separates you from God. Sin leads to a spiritual death. So you're not in tune with your spirit anymore. You don't hear from God anymore. That's why as you roll into sin, you roll farther away from God. You can kind of feel that emptiness in your spirit if you're used to having that relationship with God. So it's wise to be aware of the tricks of the devil. The devil will make sin seem so appetizing and so appealing, but in the end, like, it really is killing off your spirit part of yourself, and it's allowing the flesh to evolve into a bigger part of you. It's more ego, which is not what we want to do. Um, and I already talked about sin being passed down through generations. That is definitely something to be mindful of. It was here before you even got here. So when we talk about the devil as well, we have to think about his origin story. So for those of you who don't know, most people know the devil sinned against God. He got cast down to earth, and now he roams the earth. And as you can see, there's signs of the devil, like pretty much everywhere, running amok among us. So John 8:44, you belong to your father, the devil, and you want to carry out your father's desires. He was a murderer from the beginning, not holding to the truth, for there is no truth in him. When he lies, he speaks his native tongue, for he's a liar and the father of lies. So Satan wanted to, he's basically, his big sin was greed. Greed, lust, ego, pride. These are all things that we deal with on a daily basis as well that can separate us from God. That's why it says in the Bible to be humble, to be humble, to be humble, because it's so important to know and to fear the Lord, knowing that He is the top deity, He is above all, He is the master of a creator, He is everything and in everything all in one. And to respect that, to have a reverence for that is so important. And so Satan at one point was just like, huh, I want to be praised. I want to be worshipped. I want the same things that are given to God. And he felt as though he was worthy of that. And within an instant, he was cast out. And he was so conniving, so manipulating that he had got 1/3 of the angels in heaven to be castaways with him. So when he inherited the earth, boom, he's cast away, sent down to earth to roam on earth until it's time for him to go to hell. He literally brought angels with him who were in agreement with him. And so now they roam the earth as well. So when you hear about the different rulers and principalities that roam the earth and they're seeking to devour, it's these angels that the devil had sent with him down here. Basically, his whole revolution squad, they came down here together, and because of that, that is why there's chaos all around. He has like generals and commanders and chiefs and people in control who's been here on Earth forever. They've all been here forever, so it's like they know what they're doing. And that's why it's so important to have that relationship with God, because so being a warrior, know that your enemy is skilled. You can't, it's not something to sleep on. It's not something to ignore. It's something to, I think there was a scripture, be alert because the devil prowls around seeking to destroy. Be alert and of sober mind. Your enemy, the devil, prowls around like a roaring lion looking for someone to devour. It's just like, how true is that? He's always on the prowl. He's always looking to separate you from the love of God. He's always looking to prove God wrong, that his creation does not honor him, does not worship him. That's his main goal, is for him to be worshiped over God. So whenever you do those things that is said were fruit of the flesh, basically lying, stealing, no self-control, rage, whenever you do those things, it's worship to the devil, and it takes away from the praise of God. Whenever you have fear, you don't have faith, that is literally serving the devil and not putting yourself in God's arms and trusting in God. So 1 Peter 5:9 says, resist him, standing firm in the faith, because you know that the family of believers throughout the world is undergoing the same kind of suffering. When I tell you that the devil is strategic and he has places and people and different powers set up to rule over different nations and different mindsets and different generations. He is very strategic. This is his main goal, is to just stray you away from, we are all sheep. He just wants to stray you away. The story of the sheep and the wolves is so important because it really does give us a idea of, or a visualization of how it works. Sheep get killed by wolves all the time, just from being able to sneak in and attack. And that is why farmers set up guard dogs, because I can't be up 24/7, but I know, my dogs can pick up when I can't. So the dogs would be like the angels. And that's why the power of prayer is so important. The power of understanding, what you're putting out into the atmosphere, of surrounding yourself with people who are like minded is so important. Putting on the armor of God, we talked about that before as well, is so important so you can stand against the wiles of the devil and his schemes, because he is always up to something. And that is, it almost makes you like what is it, like just fully alert, like what is he up to, what is he up to, what is he up to. But that is one of the wisest things you can do, is to constantly prepare yourself for tricks and deceivements and all types of, just tomfoolery coming out of nowhere. Especially in times like this, you can see like it's always something, as people would say. And it's just like, stay prepared and stay prayed up and stay rooted in your faith, knowing that even though there may be something coming, it's not going to knock me off of my ground. It might shake me a bit, but it won't knock me off my ground. And I think that's important to know. Um, we'll get into the full armor again another time. I keep putting it off, but it's because I really want us to understand the background of the spiritual battle that's taking place. So know thyself, know your weaknesses. A lot of people, the devil will trick you into thinking you're not good enough. He uses a lot of mind tricks as well. People fall into depression and a lack of self-love, and those are tricks of the enemy to get you to not be the full self that you are supposed to be. So you think, like, when you think of the devil attacking you, you're going to think, oh, it's going to be my finances, it's going to be something like that. It could be something so small as your mental health, which is really huge on a grander scale. It could be just a small phrase that gets into your head of, I'm not good enough, I'm not smart, um, I'll always be addicted to drugs. I'll always be just out in the streets. I'll always be not enough. Those simple terms can get stuck in your head, and those are tricks of the devil that he uses to manipulate you into not being your full self and separating you from the love of God and the faith that you should have in God, who says that you are more than a conqueror. No weapon formed against you shall prosper. The one thing I hate about being depressed is you're literally just putting yourself into a hole. And when I say putting yourself, you're putting yourself into a hole. The brain is constantly playing tricks on us that we are not in control. And I think that is so crazy to think of. But that is a trick of the devil. You have full control. As a man thinketh, so is he. Whatever you think you can do, you can do. And whatever you think you can't do, you will not do. So it is important to use the power of words. God sent Jesus into the world, and Jesus was the Word, and the Word was with him, and the Word was him. And that's so powerful because he's a life giver. So use words that give life and don't take away life. And that is a smart thing to do. And that's also a smart way to stand strong under the attacks of the enemy. So that goes into knowing yourself. What are you saying to yourself on a day-to-day basis? And knowing your enemy. What are you saying to yourself that could have been planted in your encampment? We'll call our minds our encampment from the enemy. Trickery of the mind. What is something that you didn't put there, that was rooted there, and that you need to uproot and get rid of, because it goes against everything that God says that you are, you should be, you can be, and you will be. So know thyself. A lot of times too, we were talking about generational curses and generational like bondages. Families deal with certain I don't know what to call them, but families deal with certain trials. We'll call them trials. Families go through trials. If you ever look at your life, you'll see there's cycles. Oh, I've been here before. Oh, I've done this before. God will keep putting you in the same cycle until you overcome it. And if you lack the skills necessary to overcome it, you'll be right back into the same cycle again, because there's a lesson that needs to be learned. Until you learn the lesson, you won't be able to move on. And the devil likes to keep you in the same lesson. You'll get out of a situation and you'll be feeling good. And then a similar situation will pop up. And you'll be like, how did I get here again? Tricks of the devil to tempt you, just like he tempted Eve in the garden with, did God say that? Did God tell you that? God's just trying to not keep you from, he's keeping you away from some good stuff. Tricks of the devil. And the wiser you are, the more aware you are of the trickery that comes, the more you know. Like, I remember getting into a situation and then getting out of a situation that I prayed to get out of. And then, like, less than 2 months later, I was in a similar situation. And I had to say, whoa, something's not right here. And it's because I was allowing myself to continue in the cycle. Another thing that'll get you in cycles that are caused by the devil is living your life with lust, like not feeling complete, not feeling like God is giving you everything that you're supposed to have, feel like you're missing something, like there got to be something more, on the search and the hunt for more. That can get you caught up by the devil as well. I'm not saying be complacent, but I am saying be comfortable and trusting in the Lord that whatever He has, He will bring it to you. Don't rush towards things. Don't try to go get it on your own. Stay prayed up, pray and fast, and ask God if He would bring you good things and grant you the patience to wait for good things instead of trying to fill a void. And there are no voids in you. Everything that you need, you already have. The devil makes us feel as though there are voids inside of us, which lead us to just down sinful roads. For instance, like you might feel like there's a void. I'm missing something. I'm not all I need to be. So you run to like alcoholism. You run to drugs. You run to marijuana. You run to other things outside of yourself. You run to like sleeping around with men or women. You run to the arms of unworthy people because you're looking for something to complete yourself. But being under the eyes of God lets you realize that you are already completed. Everything on His earth was made in a perfect way, and there is no lack inside of you. Only what your mind tricks you into thinking, and the devil is a trickster of the mind. So, and you have to stay wise enough to know that. That's why it's so important to be in your scripture as well, to know that all good things come from God, all in God's timing. His ways are not my ways. Just to know that you have to put your trust in God and do not get tempted by the devil. And one thing I remember one time, if you're like in the dating world or you're dealing with people, it says you will know a good man by his fruit or a good woman by their fruit. We get so caught up in the oohs and ahs of the infatuation stage that you don't stop to realize the Bible tells you everything you need to know about identifying a person, whether it's a good person or it's a person sent from the devil. What did the scripture say? You belong to your father, the devil, and you want to carry out your father's desires. John 8:44. You belong to your father, the devil, and you want to carry out your father's desires. He was a murderer from the beginning, not holding to the truth. There is no truth in him. When he lies, he speaks his native tongue, for he is a liar and the father of lies. One more time, you belong to your father, the devil, and you want to carry out your father's desires. When you come in contact with somebody who's not giving you the fruit of the spirit, who's not giving you like a feeling of peace, who's not giving you the love of God that God knows that you deserve and that God will want you to have, but it's going opposite of all these things. They belong to their father, the devil. There are demons who walk among us to this day. You remember, like, if you look at the Bible, Jesus was casting out demons left and right. This person's in a spell. This person's doing that. This person's doing this. It's not as apparent nowadays. It's not as apparent. You'll see people on the street and be like, oh, okay, they got something wrong with them. But we diagnosed it schizophrenia, bipolar, this, that, the third. But you have to understand that those demons are still among us today, taking control and hold of people's minds. We call them their encampments, people's fortresses, and using them the way that they would love to use them, taking full advantage of them. And it's not as apparent because if the demons were just like, we're demons, then that would make it seem as though God is real. And that is one thing the devil doesn't want to do. He wants to keep God on a hush hush. So, yeah, we're going to do it, but we're going to disguise it as mental health disorders. We're going to disguise it as this. We're going to disguise it as that. When really it is demonic interferences into the lives of people without them knowing. Demonic interferences. People have fallen into the hands of the enemy and are being led and controlled by him on a day-to-day basis. And the healing of Jesus, the healing of God is so real and so necessary. But because people aren't aware of the spiritual warfare, the spiritual battle that's going on around them, they aren't getting the help that they actually need, which is peace, truth, life, love, everything, all the good fruits of the spirit. That is what we actually need. But Satan is such a trickster, such a trickster, and he is wise. So, people think of him all the time as just nothing to worry about, but he is so wise. And if you let him, if you put your guard down, the moment you take off your breastplate of righteousness, the moment you put down your sword of truth, the moment you take off your helmet of salvation, the devil will come to snatch you up. And not only you, he'll come to snatch you up in your whole household. He'll come to snatch up your children. He'll come to snatch up, your parents. He'll come to snatch up your workplace. So when you understand that there's chaos happening, you have to stay firm in that, because you know that that is a trick of the enemy, and it is a test of your salvation. It is a test. God will never put us in anything. He'll put no weapon that will prosper against us. He will never put more on us than we can bear. Knowing that gives us all the power we need to stand firm in truth, knowing that the devil is already defeated in our lives, and knowing that we have to be wise and have to use the power of discernment. Wisdom and discernment are so powerful. Those are two things I pray that you pray and ask God for. Wisdom and discernment in your day to day. Like I said, the devil is on the prowl, looking to devour whoever he may seek to devour. He comes to steal, kill, and destroy. And if you aren't wise and using the spirit of discernment, your whole life can fall into his hands and just be ruined. But the good thing is, God will always redeem you. You can always redeem yourself. You can always rebuild. You can always get it all back tenfold if you put your trust in the Lord and you stay rooted in him. So that's like the story of Job. God gave Satan permission to mess with Job and his life, and he took everything, but Job got it all back, and plus some, and even better, because God restores. He is a God of restoration. He is a God of fairness. He is a God of love, of peace. And the devil is total opposite. I remember I was talking to this guy, and he was just telling me about his life and telling me about his stories and telling me about situations that he was in for the past, like, week and a half. It wasn't even like a long time ago. It was like the previous week. He had all these situations going on, and I was like, wow, it sounds like you are involved in a lot of disorderly chaos. And I, for one, know that God doesn't operate in that. It sounds like you're dealing with, the devil. It sounds like you are involved with trickery of the devil, the foolishness of the devil. And I, for one, cannot involve myself with such foolishness. Like, I appreciate you for being open. I appreciate you for sharing your story, but I will not be involved. Now, old me would have been like, oh my gosh, what can I do to help? How can I assist? Is there anything I can do to help you? But I remember God telling me, you can't save people who don't want to be saved. One of the life lessons I learned from Jesus is Jesus would always ask, do you want to be healed? Is this what you want? Do you want to be healed? Because some people like staying in their foolishness. Some people like staying in the comfort of their own mess. Some people like staying in the chaos. Some people like sitting with their demons and working it out with them on a day-to-day basis. Me, for one, I don't. I love peace. I've come to know peace that surpasses all understanding. And I pray that everyone gets to experience that on such an amazing, abundant level that I have experienced it. And I wish it for the world. I wish it for the world. And that's another thing. We do know a man by the fruit of his spirit, by his fruits. When you see chaos, when you see disorder, when you see foolishness, just know that that is Satan at work. He is no longer in hiding. He is no longer invisible. He is no longer not able to be pointed out. Whenever, if you're at work and you see, just gossip, foolishness, disorder happening, tell the devil, peace be still. Peace be still. Satan, get thee behind me. You put into the atmosphere what you want to happen, and let the devil know that he doesn't have control over the situations that he usually has control over anymore. You are stepping in with the power of your Father, the power of God, to diminish his attacks on any room, any situation, any atmosphere that you enter into. It has to be done. And that is another way that you can defeat the devil, by letting people know, hey, That's not right. You acting out of rage is not right. Like, you being a crash out is so wrong, and it is a trick of the devil. You speaking out of rage is not right. You being slothful is not right. These are all tricks of the devil. You being stuck in a rut, everything. Grief has a season, and that's fine. But to allow yourself to be in a season for an overdue amount of time, you have to get control of your mind. That's the main thing we're fighting for. That's when Satan came to Eve. What did he do? Got control of her mind, got her thinking. That's another thing all by itself. Thinking. Just thinking out of alignment with God. That's a whole nother episode. But Satan will use, like, when Jesus was in the wilderness and he's fasting, he's hungry, he's weak, he hasn't eaten for 40 days. What happens? Here comes Satan popping up. Hey, you can have the world. I can give you this. Did your father really say? Using the mind against you to get you thinking out of alignment with God's will. Now that we know thyself, know your shortcomings. So you don't even put yourself into a position to be tricked and handed over to the enemy. For instance, if you know you have a problem with addiction, do not put yourself in a situation where you will be tempted by the enemy. Don't do it. Don't do it. And don't tempt others either. It talks about in the Bible that woe for him who tempts someone. Being tempting people is so wrong, and woe to him that does it. Listen, do not put yourself in situations. Know yourself. If your flesh is weak, if you are sexually immoral, or you have battled with sexual perversion or sexual immorality, don't put yourself in situations where you will be tempted by the enemy. Know thyself. Knowing yourself is so important. I can't stress that enough. When you're dealing with warfare, know your weaknesses. Know your weaknesses. Don't hide them. Put them in the forefront. Hey, people around you, this is something I struggle with, so I can't be around this certain thing. This is something I'm trying to avoid, so I won't be around this certain thing. This is something I'm working on, so I can't be around this certain thing. Know yourself. If you struggle with anything, if you struggle with a bad temper, try to set yourself up so you can breathe before you react, so you can think, have a safety word, or figure out what triggers you and get a handle on it so that you're not triggered into anger as easily. Go to anger management. So literally know thyself. It's so important. If you struggle with gluttony, move the food. Don't stop and get some food on your way home. Go get a salad, or go get some food, but just get something different than what you normally get. Know thyself. And then, by knowing yourself, know your enemy. Know that he is looking for a moment for you to slip up and fail at any given moment, and he thrives on that. He's like, oh my gosh, Takoa is going to slip up today, or I just feel it, or I'm going to send this person into her life that's going to make her lose her mind, and I just feel it. Know your enemy. Know that he's trying to get you off of your pedestal that God is putting you on. Know that he is trying to get you out of alignment with God. Know that he is trying to get you out of alignment with your spirit, with the Holy Spirit. Know that he is trying his best to keep you from being the person that you're supposed to be at all times. He wants you to fall from heaven just like he did, and we will not be fooled by Satan. He has nothing to live for, everything to die for. So he is going to be throwing things continuously at you at all times. But stay prayed up, stay fasting, stay aware, stay vigilant, and stay rooted in knowing who you are and what your shortcomings are, and doing your best to have self-control, self-perseverance. Just do your best to stay strong, like a strong tree planted by the riverside who will not fall. Just do your best at all times. Be aware that you are who you are, the enemy is who he is, and we are overcoming our shortcomings through all things. Like, God makes us perfect. He loves a shortcoming, and he's asking, do you want to be healed? Jesus is asking, is there something in your life that I can fix for you? Is there something in your life that you used to fall short to, but you're ready to overcome. God is an overcomer of all things. He is a majestic winner at all times, the best winner of eternity who's ever existed. So if you want to win too, you need to be on the winning team, especially in this season of war. So wake up, wake up, wake up, warriors. That was a wrap for our episode. Know thyself and know thy enemy. I hope I got you thinking about who you are and who the enemy is, and the tips and tricks and the tools that he's been using to deceive you on a day-to-day basis, or in those cycles of life that we talked about as well. Any questions, any comments, feel free to hit me up and let me know how you feel, what you're thinking, how you're doing, if you're having a great day, if you're having a bad day. If there's anything I can pray about for you, let me know. And once again, this is the Warrior Podcast. I'm your host, Takoa, and I love you guys. And we're going to keep fighting and getting better all the time. See you next time. Bye.